Dan Illman, Mike Beer, huge card Saturday, obviously at Parx, the Pennsylvania Derby, the main event. The co-feature, the Grade 1 Cotillion. Here's the field for three-year-old fillies. This race carded as the 11th. $1 million is the purse. 1.16 miles is the distance. The 7 private mission has already been scratched. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector. This will change once scratches are made official. So log into timeformus.com, get the updated pace projector. Private mission out. Always Karina stretching out off a fourth in the test might be able to make the lead. And she's been okay when she's made the lead in her career.
Yeah, we'll see if getting to the front against this field leads to a turnaround in form for her. It's certainly possible, I guess, Dan. I don't know. I thought this was a really good race. I thought it was a really well-matched field. Even though you have Clairiere in there as a 2-to-1 favorite, I don't think she exactly, stands out versus this field.
Obligatory won the 8 bells at 7 furlongs, 3 starts back, and it looked like maybe they'd found her niche as a closing 1-turn 7 furlong miler type. And I think that sort of opinion was reinforced with her good second in the Acorn coming from off the pace. Last time out in the test going 7 furlongs, Mike, was she just compromised by the race flow? It just seemed like that pace held up.
Yeah, she was bad. I thought she was badly compromised last time and didn't run nearly as poorly as it may look on paper. They took her, what they always do, Dan. They took her back to last and they're over to the inside. And she tried to rally through the stretch, but the test wasn't that kind of race. They just weren't coming back for her. I actually felt like she ran okay last time. The question with her is she a 2-turn horse or not? I know she's a Curlin. Earlier this year in the Fairgrounds Oaks, she was decidedly not a 2-turn horse. That was not a very good performance in the Fairgrounds Oaks, but that was 6 months ago, Dan. She's a much better filly now.
All Worthy is the number 2. This is a daughter of Belmont Stakes winner Tonalist, coming off a 3rd place effort in a 2-turn sprint. Let's watch the Charlestown Oaks on August the 27th. Allworthy fell very far behind, and you're going to see in the last 300 yards or so, she really kicks it in once she changes leads and she gets up to be 3rd. I'm really not too concerned about the additional distance. It's all a question of whether she's good enough. She's now raced against graded competition twice, and I'm just not sure she's up to this level at this point.
Yeah, she might not be. I don't think this is the worst race in the world, though, to try to make cases for horses like Allworthy, because she might be a little bit underrated. And obviously, she has to improve. We can point out that in that Charlestown Oaks, that night at Charlestown, boy, did it feel like speed in the inside was really dominating all the races. She never got near the inside. She actually might have run a lot better than it looks last time.
I'm a big fan of Will's Secret, but I wonder if I've started to see enough. I liked her effort in the Kentucky Oaks. She was no match for Malathot in search results, 2 of the best 3-year-old fillies in the country. She got a pretty good trip. She ran her best, and then she just didn't fire in the Indiana Oaks. And last time out in the Alabama going 1.25 miles, she got up close to the pace and she couldn't finish. Again, I thought she ran well, maybe the best she can do at that distance. She does have some back figures that indicate she can be somewhat competitive at a price. She has some tactical speed.
Yeah, I think she's interested in here. I think she can get a good trip in this race. After she won those 3 races in a row earlier this year, Dan, she won 4 times, 3 times against Malathot. The last one in the Alabama, which I just think is too far for her. She has the one poor race off that short layoff in the Indiana Oaks. If you can get past that one, and I don't think it's that hard to get past it, I think she's a player in here.
Which Maracuja will show up? The number 4 goes out for Rob Atras. She upset Malathot in the Coaching Club American Oaks. She received just a brilliant ride from Ricardo Santana that day. And in the Alabama, she didn't break very well, but she also didn't run very well.
Yeah, she didn't. I agree with you. Boy, she was down inside the entire way, though. She took a ton of dirt in that race. So maybe she just didn't, like that all that much, but it still was a poor performance. The flip side of that equation, Dan, is, last time in the Alabama, she was exactly the kind of horse you weren't supposed to like off of the Coaching Club American Oaks, where she was the longest shot on the board. Everything went right for her. She got a great trip and ride, and she pulled off the upset in there. Now she's got the Alabama out of the way. She cuts back a little bit. She's going to be a better price this time. I think there are ways to look at her and feel like maybe she's the horse you're supposed to go back to this time.
Army Wife entered the Alabama off 2 consecutive graded stakes victories. She faced off with Clairiere. Let's watch the stretch drive of the Alabama. Army Wife got a good trip up close to the pace. She made a 3-wide bid. She made a brief lead in the stretch. You see Army Wife in the green cap. On the outside is Clairiere, altered course far wide, and she's going to come with a good run. They both ran very well against Malathot. Army Wife's tactical speed's always kind of going to give her a little bit of a jump on a horse like Clairiere.
It is, and I think it could be key to this race, Dan, because it feels like Army Wife could get a really good trip in this race. I thought her Alabama was fine. Maybe just another horse who doesn't, quite want to go 10 furlongs, so cutting back helps her. I could go either way on this horse. I want to see what kind of price she is. I know that she won graded stakes 2 and 3 starts back, but I just didn't care much for either of those races, and I don't think I wouldn't play her in here off of either the Black Eyed Susan or the Iowa Oaks if she was going to be around 7-2.
And as for Clairiere, we've been asking all year long, what's Clairiere's best distance? She's run well going 2 turns. We like her maybe a little bit shorter at 1.1 miles, and that 1.25 miles Alabama, she was charging hard at the end of that race to finish ahead of 3 of these common foes.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I haven't been a fan of hers going longer, but I have to admit, on the evidence of the Alabama, I'm certainly wrong about that because she was not tired at the end of that race for sure. I guess we'll see, Dan. I mean, I can look at each of her last 3 races and make, I think, legit excuses for all 3 of them and just feel like with a little bit more luck or a different trip, she could have won, maybe any one of those races. So to me, she is the horse to beat in here, and she's probably a legit favorite. I still don't know if I want 2-1 on her against this field.
7 private mission scratches. We move to the 8, Always Karina, who could assume the pace setter's role. This will be her first start around 2 turns. Now, 2 starts back, she ran in the Mother Goose. She was odds on that day, going 1.16 miles, and I could not find the excuse for her. She set a rather mild pace. She did hold second off Clairiere, but go watch the replay in your formulator past performances. Clairiere might have run the best race of them all.
Yeah, Clairiere was best in the Mother Goose. She just happened not to win after trouble in the race. This horse, I thought, Always Karina, was terrible in that race. Got to the front. The pace wasn't fast. The horse that beat her, Zagel, was right up on the pace with her the entire way. She was the longest shot on the board in there. And Always Karina was no match in there. I mean, I thought that was a very poor performance. They tried to cut her back in the test. She was bad again with a good trip. So, I feel like the real question with her now is how good is she, Dan? Because it feels like she's been pretty well exposed in her first 2 starts against graded stakes horses. Maybe she makes the lead and wires this field, but I wouldn't bet the race that way.
And the horse with the home court advantage is the 9, leader of the band. This is a Pennsylvania bred, winner of the Monmouth Oaks, 2 starts back, although the runner-up that day seemed to have significant trouble. Let's watch the Catherine Sophia last time out, and she tried to rally from off the pace. We see her on the far outside, and this pace was really raided the middle part by Lovely Ride, who just wouldn't quit at a big price. Leader of the band might have been compromised by the ground loss and just simply by the way the race was run.
Yeah, and that's how I looked at the race, kind of. I mean, Lovely Ride, there's nothing wrong with her. She's a pretty nice horse. She also bumped leader of the band at the start of the race. Leader of the band wound up last, while that horse wound up on the lead. And as you say, we saw the stretch run there, Dan, and the winner looked like she was in deep water all through the stretch. So you could say, well, how did they not catch her? But she was absolutely loose early in there on a really slow pace. So I don't know. I feel like leader of the band probably ran better than it looks in there. I thought she ran better than it looks 2 starts back as well. And even 3 starts back in the Delaware Oaks. She was a distant third in there. But man, I did not necessarily care for the ride she got that day. Very conservative until they got to this stretch. I don't know. I feel like she's headed the right way and is going to be a big price in this race.
And she should be running at the end. Just give her a little bit of pace. She's really underrated. Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 1 Cotillion. I've got her in the mix. Mike's got her on top. She's 12-1 on the morning line before the scratch. I still think she goes off at a really playable price.
Yeah, I feel like she has to be a price in this race. And to me, Dan, at the end of the day, it was one of those races where I just wanted one of the outsiders. Maybe they just won't turn out to be good enough, but I don't know. I had a tough time separating the obligatories and, Will Secret's Maracujas. I feel like they all have a chance to win, but they're also all going to take money in here. I'm not going to bet Clairiere as the favorite. I want one of the others.
I think Clariere is the horse to beat. I'd have to use her in any kind of multiple race wager. Army Wife, to me, while I agree with you, she was helped in the Black Eyed Susan, I think, by a really strong rail bias that day. And she didn't beat anything in the Iowa Oaks. I just think she's coming into her own for Michael Maker. I thought the Alabama was a good effort, made the first run at Malathot. Probably that distance a little bit too far for her. I wish she drifts from 7-2. 5-6-9-8 for me, 9-1-6-4 for Mike. It's the grade one Cotillion on a huge Saturday afternoon of racing at Parx. Good luck.